Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Plurk, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 25th of August, 2014, and this is episode 93, Inflation. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. We've had a big morning around here. Yesterday, Gabriel broke his shoes, or I guess it wasn't yesterday, it was probably the day before, but yesterday is when we realized that they were broken. So I was going to take them back. Story time. Steve's mom buys the kids shoes. Like, that's her thing. She always wants to buy them shoes whenever they visit, whenever she visits us. Not every time she visits us. Like, if we're going on a zoo trip, then she doesn't. But whenever they go to visit, they always come back with like 2 new pairs of shoes, sometimes 3. That's her thing. Grammy wants to take care of the shoes, and I'm totally fine with that. One less thing I have to worry about. Well, in May, I think. No, in June. He got a pair of shoes from her in spring, so March or April, and then in June they broke. And he wanted to call her and tell her. So we did, and she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll bring shoes for you for the 4th of July." So he got the new shoes, and they broke yesterday, those shoes that he got on 4th of July. They were both the same type of shoes, same brand, 2 pairs of shoes, one summer. Like 6 weeks is ridiculous for shoes to break, or 7 weeks or something. Anyway, shoes shouldn't break in that amount of time. I know he's hard on his shoes and he plays hard, but still, that's ridiculous. So I was going to take the shoes back and get an exchange because there's no reason that shoes should break in, 7 weeks. No reason. But I had knitting, I had work, and I just didn't get to the store. So the shoe store was closed by the time I was heading for work. So Steve took the kids to, I don't know, probably Walmart, and got Gabriel some new shoes. And they're awesome, and I want them in my size. They're amazing. Anyway, this morning, he tied his shoe for the first time. He's never had shoes that he had to tie himself because since he's been able to put on his own shoes, he's had Velcro or elastic or, kid-friendly things, and we just haven't gotten him shoes with laces, or Grammy hasn't gotten him shoes with laces. So Steve bought him shoes with laces, and we had like 15 minutes before the bus came, so I was like, "Okay, Gabriel, it's time to learn how to tie your shoe." So he tied one shoe and I tied the other, and we did them parallel so that he could see what I was doing. And it was a little frustrating for him. He didn't get it at first, but finally he got it. He tied his own shoe, and I was so proud. Side tangent. Steve thinks it's crazy the way that I showed him how to tie my shoe. He's like, "I've never seen that before." So I'm just going to, have you guys seen this before? Like, I don't think this is crazy at all. This is how I learned how to tie my shoes when I was little. So you make 2 loops, then you take one loop, you take it around the other loop, and you put it down that hole that you've made by putting the loops together, and it makes a bow. And that's how my mom taught me how to tie my shoe. And Steve's like, "I've never seen anything but the loop and then the string around, and you push through to make another loop." That concept was so difficult for me when I was little that the bunny ears worked. I don't know. Anyway, that's what we did this morning. And Gabriel lost his second tooth, which is a story in of itself. So yesterday his tooth was loose and he was like, "I'm gonna get the small pillow." You might remember that when he lost his first tooth, we made a small pillow so that the tooth fairy could find the tooth, because it has a little pocket on the side, and he wanted a button. So he went in my desk drawer where it lives, and he got the small pillow. Then when his tooth finally fell out, he couldn't find the small pillow. So Steve put his tooth in a plastic bag and told him that I would find the pillow when I got home. couldn't find the pillow because I didn't want to turn on the light in Gabriel's room because I knew that's where it was because that's where he had been playing with it. So I looked with my phone and I didn't see it. So I made him another pillow and put the tooth in the pillow so that the tooth fairy could find it. And then the tooth fairy found it and Gabriel got his tooth fairy money. And this is where inflation comes in. I know this is such a really long ramble at the very beginning about not knitting, but whatever. This week it is. So yesterday at work, last night at work, a gentleman came through and his son had just lost his first tooth. And when I was little, the tooth fairy's going rate was $1. And the tooth fairy's going rate in this house is still $1. Our tooth fairy hasn't gone with inflation. But that little boy who had just lost his first tooth, the tooth fairy left him a $10 iTunes gift card. What? Some of these tooth fairies must be pretty rich. That's all I'm saying. I was throwing that out there. That's intense. Anyway, second lost tooth and tied his shoe. I'm so proud of him, but he's getting so big. Second week of kindergarten, it was pretty good. There were some minor behavior things that I'm like, kids will be kids, but I understand why Gabriel got in trouble because the teachers need to set the ground rules now and let them know what is and is not acceptable now so that they don't have to worry about it later in the school year. Anyway, on to knitting. That's what you're here for, right? The Stuffies Knit Along is going so great. Oh my gosh, there are 40 something projects. You guys, that's amazing. One more week. So this time next week, I will be closing the thread. Well, this time next week, realistically, I'll probably still be sleeping. But around this time next week, I will be closing the thread and pulling for the prizes, which are Eyes from Amy Eyes or a skein of yarn from Dancing Dog Dye Works in the colorway, I believe it's the Flamenco DK. And there's a tag for that, BPHSTUFFYS14, and a coupon code still for Amy Eyes, which is BPC2014. It's 10% off any purchase of $5 or more, and that's good through August 31st. So even if you are not going to finish that stuffy by the end of this month, you could go get eyes for future stuffies and get 10% off. And the eyes are amazing. I did not do any stuffy related things this week, so I don't have anything to show you. But I do have a finished object to show you. I know, I feel like it's been forever since I finished one. Firstly, let's go over what I have been wearing. So this is Urban Survival by Josh Ricks. All the details are in show notes from, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, a few episodes. It hasn't been made that long. This is my design cowl for 716 Knit. This is the garter stitch version. And it's 2 half skeins of DK weight yarn. The pink is Orchid and the gray is You Taste Like Ashes. It's 716 Boss, and I did not weave in this end yet. I will. I'm having an end weaving party this weekend because I'm going to Michigan this coming weekend and I'm so excited. And while I'm in Michigan, Amanda, just so you know, we're having a photo shoot because Steve is super fail at taking photos that highlight my knitwear. Like, this is not important in the pattern. This is important, and Steve does not get that concept. So Amanda, I need your assistance for taking photos of several patterns. Anyway, I knit this on US 7 4.5 millimeter, and I will have this pattern finished next week sometime. How exciting is that? This is really soft. I haven't actually worn this yet because it's kind of warm here still. Invasion! Hi.
Hi.
What you doing?
I'm Mara.
I know you're Mara. What are you doing?
I see you.
That is me.
That's me.
No, that's me.
That's me.
No. That's you.
That's you.
Yes. Okay. Can you go see Daddy?
No.
No? Okay, well, we have a co-host for a minute.
That was good.
Did I tell you
That
that
was
Steve is
good.
on leave for a month? I can't remember if that happened
That was good.
before or after last
That was
podcast.
good.
So he's on leave for a month to see if this new medication will help his foot before they go through with surgery, because nobody wants to put him through surgery if he doesn't absolutely have to go through surgery. Anyway, works in progress. I'm going to show you from
Mom.
least exciting to most exciting.
That's was good.
Gabriel's at school.
Gabriel's
So this
at
is my Cloud
school.
Lover merino, superwash merino silk blend in the blackberry truffle colorway. And I did some spinning, not a lot. I think you can tell that this is, you know, much more fiber, but still not a lot of fiber to go. I probably spun about an hour on that. Cheese. Can you go see Daddy, please? I would like that very much. Okay. Second, I am still plying.
Here, Mom.
Thank you. The Huckleberry Knits Superwash BFL in the Centurion colorway. I am getting so close, so close. I might be able to finish this by the end of the month like I want. So this is what's left of one ply. And I am actually plying this one from the center instead of the outside. So this one I'm plying from the outside, and this one I'm plying from the center. And I have a Jenga block holding it apart, because for a while it was fine pulling from the center without anything inside, but then it got loose in the center, so it was not knotting, but it was pulling out, you know, several wraps, and it was just making it take much longer than needed to ply. So this Jenga block is working very well. So close to finished on that skein. I really, really want to finish it by the end of the month. So I have 1 week in which to ply. If I would just ply, it would be finished. Also, my sister's sweater, when that is finished, then I will be able to focus on the plying and the spinning more. So I've been practically monogamous this week. Last week I had a hood. This week I have almost an entire sweater. This is the third ball of yarn, which I just started yesterday. And this is what the sweater looks like. It's so bright. Here is the sweater. It is at my hips, so I should probably put the pockets in now. I didn't realize that it was pocket time already. And it will come down and close right here, so the upper area will be open. I need to talk to my sister about whether she wants buttons or a zipper so I can get that, because I would really like to have this sweater finished Thursday, because we're leaving on Friday, and I would really like it to, I can do the finishing in the car. I can do that, or I can do the finishing over the weekend. I just don't want to have to I really don't want to have to mail the sweater to my sister when I'm going to be seeing her this weekend. So that's what I've been working on mostly this week. I'm not using a pattern. I looked at a few different patterns for information sourcing, but I'm not using one to go off of. And what I mean by information sourcing is I knew I wanted to make a hood, so I found a pattern that had a hood and looked at what they suggested for it, which was they suggested that you pick up along the neck and then knit up in a rectangle and then graft it together. So I didn't want to do that, but I used the same idea. I used Judy's Magic Cast On to start, which is basically the reverse of grafting. In my head anyway. Maybe you don't think so, but that's what I see it as. So I cast on using that. I didn't want a rectangle, so I did some increases. That I did on blind faith, hoping that I could figure it out. The decreases for the back, again, it was blind faith, and I was like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Then I started the arms, the raglan increases, and I used $5 in Paris for that because I know that those increases fit my sister, and I don't exactly remember what my gauge was, but I was like, I'll try it on and I'll just use those increases. Oh my gosh. So I had a problem with this sweater. The sweater would probably be done right now, except Monday, after I did the hood, I started the increases for the sweater. I put in stitch markers at the both sides for the fronts and then both sides for the back. So 4 stitch markers plus the 2 stitch markers I have on either side because I'm lazy and don't want to have to think about switching back and forth to garter stitch on the purl sides because I'll forget. So I had 4 stitch markers in. Tuesday, I was working on it and I was like, oh, this is probably getting pretty close to where I would split for the sleeves. So I was working on it at work on my break. So I will put it on something to try it on when I get home. I was transferring it. I have this needle. It was a size 1 circular bamboo, but I broke one tip off because it's bamboo and yeah, I snapped it. But it's perfect for trying things on for the most part. It's not so good for trying things on when you have a 3-year-old rolling on the floor like I had a moment ago, because then she grabs things and pulls stitches off, so I need to fix a couple stitches over here. Whatever, no big deal. I put it on there and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I did the first set of increases and it was fine. And then somewhere between the first set of increases and the second set of increases, I dropped a stitch marker designating one of the back increases. So I had only been doing 3 increases across the row. I ripped out this much of a sweater. So down to here and from here, from this line right here, on Tuesday night. So I was like, well, I'm going to rip it out tonight and then I'll restart tomorrow. I'm not restarting tonight because it's my bedtime and I just can't handle that right now. So I ripped out, restarted on Wednesday, did the increases properly. I then went ahead and did the arms, the sleeves, so that I wouldn't have to worry about running out of yarn just in case, which is not going to be a problem. This is the 3rd cake out of 4, and I've barely started using it. So I did the sleeves, I started the body, realized I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to go on for the front, but realized it wasn't going to close in the front, decided that would be okay, and I just have it as an open top sort of sweater, and made up the increases on the fly. I put increases at the waist, or not the waist, but yeah, I guess kind of the waist. So the stitch marker that designates the front versus the back, I made increases on either side, and I made increases along my front selvage border, whatever. I made increases along there as well to bring it in the front, because that's where I really needed it to come in. And I don't remember how often I did that. I think I did the increases right here more frequently than on either side. So hopefully this sweater fits my sister, because yeah, kind of making it up as I'm going, which is kind of scary, but kind of fun. And now I need to do pockets. Pockets. Those need to happen before anything else happens. And I'll probably only have a picture for you next week of that, because I won't have it. Yay! I have one loaned hexapuff this week. It was a celebratory hexapuff for finishing the cowl, but it is the onlyest one that I did. And it is made out of the 716 knit 716 Boss in the orchid colorway, striped with the You Taste Like Ashes. On the other hand, I have my sock yarn blanket, which is where all of my modular crafting went. I made 11 squares. I now have 699 squares on my blanket. Today's square will be number 700. Yay! Because I'm going to 776. So I'm getting so close. Here we go. This one is the orchid colorway from 716 knit 716 Boss that I used in my cowl. And then I also did this square, this square, this square, this square, this square, and this square. Those are all ZK yarns. And I put the second large square of the top in, and this is not ZK yarn. It is yarn that I got from Claire at my knit group, but I'm not sure what type of yarn it is. I want to say it's one of the Peyton's striping, but I'm not 100% certain. So I just have to do this, and then I will officially have 4 of the top 17 squares of my blanket finished. And then I just keep filling in. I'm so excited that this is going to be finished soon. And I love when people post in my group that I've enabled them to start sock yarn blankets. I love both of mine, the hexapuffs and the mitered squares, both for different reasons. The hexapuffs are nice because they're really portable all the time. The mitered square blanket is portable for a very short period of time, but the mitered square blanket, like, you can really see the growth all at once. I love both of my blankets, and even though it's hot here, I'm totally gonna cuddle up under my blanket right now until I start sweating and dying of dehydration from sweating. Anyway, weird tangent. So, new things. I have 2, and they are both books. I'm going to tell you about the knitting related one first. So if you're not interested, then I will tell you goodbye. Oh, except you should stay. You should stay the whole time, because I have something at the end for you. A couple somethings to tell you about. Just stay the whole time. I'll try to keep my reading stuff short. Anyway, Op Art Socks by Stephanie van der Linden. This book is amazing. And my sister I think she saw the cover socks. And she was like, I'm going to need you to knit me the socks those socks. And I said, if you get me the book, I will knit you the socks. So she got me the book. I am going to take this book with me to Michigan so she can decide if this pair is in fact the pair that she wants, or if she wants one of the other pairs, because this is the table of contents with all of the socks. That's amazing. It might not be all of the patterns. I didn't count the number of pictures versus number of patterns, but 19 patterns, and there were 16 pictures. So 16 pictures. So 3 of the pairs were not photoed for that table of contents. But I'm going to take this, and she is going to pick out socks, and I will make them for her someday. I'm not sure when, but I've barely flipped through this book, and it is very, very cool. There are different, a couple different techniques that I've seen for sure. There's a pair of modular socks. There are some cabled socks, some Fair Isle. It's very cool. Very, very cool. The other book, I'm super excited. So excited. It is not knitting related, but I'm really, really excited. It is called This Is All, the Pillow Book of Cordelia Ken by Aidan Chambers. I read this book when I was in college. My junior or senior year, I found it on the shelf. It's a young adult book. And I had been looking at it for a couple years, but it's not the least expensive book because it's 800 pages, 807 pages, 808. It's many pages. So I was like, I don't know. Not that I shy away from really thick books. The epic fantasy that Jacqueline Carey writes, for instance, I think one of them is over 1,000 pages, and I read it and loved it. But I don't know, for some reason I was like, that seems really like a really thick book from an author I don't know, so I don't know if I'll like it. I read it and I loved it. I started it one night before I went to bed, or when I was going to go to bed, and then I just didn't go to bed. I stayed up and read all 808 pages. I think it is possible that I passed out in there for a little while, but I didn't like make the decision to go to sleep. I didn't like close the book and say, okay, I'm done. I loved this book so much that I tried to make everybody read it. But again, it's 808 pages. So some of my friends are like, I don't know about that. That's kind of long. So I'm really excited to read it again and decide if there was just something about it that resonated at the time, or if I really do like this book, like a lot. So you'll be hearing about that soon. I have a few library books to get through, and then I will probably read this. I might start Outlander though, because all of my friends are reading Outlander, and I like to read what my friends are reading so that we can discuss books, and the whole world is reading Outlander. Anyway, on to what I'm reading. The Magician King by Lev Grossman, second book in the trilogy. I'm almost done. I have 40 pages to go. I was thinking about staying up and reading it last night, but then I got to the point where I was reading the same paragraph 2 to 3 times before I was absorbing it, and I was like, I'm not going to read the next 40 pages in this fashion. I just need to go to bed. So I'm going to finish it tonight. And then I was in a VKN and we were having a quiet moment, and I was working on my sock yarn blanket. I guess either of my knitting projects this week, my sock yarn blanket or the sweater, would have warranted me picking up my book, because I'm so not good at just sitting and working on those projects without doing something else. because they're just kind of, I can do them without looking. I can do them without thinking. So I need something to keep me engaged. And nobody was talking, so I picked up Goliath by Scott Westerfeld. It's the third book in the Behemoth trilogy. Is that correct? Does it say on here? No, the Leviathan trilogy. It says right there. Behemoth is the second book. Goliath is the last book. It was sitting on my desk, so I picked it up and I barely started it. I'm 17 pages in. Because then people started talking, so I was like, oh, okay, book away now. Enjoying it so far. I will probably finish that. I'm hoping to finish that before I go to Michigan because I'm going to be knitting on that sweater a lot. So we'll see about that, and I will tell you all about it next week. Okay, so these are the exciting things. This is back to the knitting content. So I hope people stayed. The first thing is a new podcast that you should check out. It is by Shomalene. It's a Swedish name. She's from Sweden, and her name is Maya. The host's name is Maya. She does her podcast in English, and it's super cute. English is not her first language because she was born in Sweden and raised there and lives there. But she wanted to do an English-speaking podcast because she wanted people from not Sweden to know what Swedish people were working on. And I'm not so good with languages, and I know a lot of other Americans are not so good with languages, so I super appreciate that. She has 2 episodes. I only watched the first one. The second one was posted a couple days ago, I think, and I'm a little bit behind on podcasts. But go check her out. She had a lot of knitting content in the first one, and a little bit of geography too, which was fun. And then the other thing, Lisa from the Knit Two Together podcast and Jenna from 716 Knit and I have gotten together, and we are going to do a pattern club, a pattern yarn club. So you'll get a skein of yarn, a corresponding pattern, and a small something. Together. So we're doing that. Our plan is to do the plan, what we're doing is a club based on the Divergent trilogy. Sign-ups would happen in December. So if you are thinking about what you might want to put on your Christmas list, maybe this. Sign-ups will be in December. The shipments will go out January, February, March. It'll be first book, second book, third book. 2 pairs of socks and a cowl will be involved, I think. Definitely 2 pairs of socks. Those are already designed. We know that. The other thing, the maybe cowl, might not be a cowl. But it will be DK weight, and it will probably be a cowl. It's just not made yet. It's in the paper phase. So there's that. And it's Jenna's yarn, so you know it's going to be amazing. So basically why I'm telling you this so far in advance is because we are not sure how many spots to open. So we're kind of putting out feelers for if people would be interested in that at all. And the reason we're doing it in January, February, March is because the second movie comes out in theaters in March. So we wanted to have it wrap up so that you could wear your Divergent knits to the movies if you wanted. Just saying. So if you think that would be something you would be interested in, feedback on that would be really cool. And that's what I have for you this week. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I'll see you next week. Bye.